Hello, Editor Santi here, interrupting the irregularly scheduled podcast to inform you of a couple of things. This episode is definitely coming out very late. I'm well aware of that. I had a couple of family emergency things happen in my personal life that affected my ability to finish this episode, so that's why it's coming out very late. I apologize for that. Our next episode should be mostly on track. It'll probably come out maybe a couple of days late just to give me time to edit and things. Um, but just that's that. The second thing, you will notice that once again the audio quality is going to dip pretty dramatically in the middle of this episode. For some reason, the second half of our file that was on our recorder just was not right. And so I did have to resort to using the in-camera audio from our camera, and again, it's not great. You'll hear the AC kick on at some point, and I had to kind of mess around with that to make it not sound atrocious. So I hope you still enjoy this episode. Again, our next episode will be hopefully on track. Thanks for listening. Now here's your podcast.
Hello, and welcome back to Viva La Action, the podcast where we're talking about all things action movies. The good, the bad, and the underrated. My name is Santi, and with me as always, it's my co-host, it's Grayson.
Hola, como
Hello.
esta?
Come?
Not what I said.
Oh, I must have something on the brain.
Yeah.
I got cum brain.
Ugh.
All right, we're off to bad start. Let's cut it out. Stop.
GG's go next.
I went for a joke right at the start, and it did not land.
Oh my god.
Incredible.
We haven't seen each other in 4 weeks.
No. Bye. Goodbye, new listeners. It was fun having you for 4 minutes.
Barely.
Barely.
It was like 30 seconds.
30 seconds. Please don't knock over everything. I have two. Why are you licking the batteries? Get away. Go back to laying down. What changed? These dogs are going nuts.
Yeah.
Okay, yes. Yeah, we're back in person for the first time in a little while, and
Yeah.
we got the sillies.
Yeah, we do.
Which is okay.
That's okay.
That's
You're
fine.
allowed.
It'll be interesting. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good, thank you.
Oh, yeah.
We're here today because you know what's good?
What?
Knocking over the podcasting equipment. No, you know what's good is action movies.
So true.
Because that's what we talk about on this show.
Yeah, we do.
We talk about action movies. We talk about good action movies.
Yep.
We talk about bad action movies.
We talk about some not so well-known hidden gems.
Yes, which is I think what we're talking about today.
I think so. I think we could put this squarely in the underrated.
Yes,
section.
I agree. Because this week, Grayson, we talked about a film called The One Armed Swordsman.
That's fairly accurate.
It is pretty accurate. He is one-armed for most of the movie.
Yeah, for like a good 90%.
Yeah. There's a little bit where he's got two arms.
I know. I will. When the movie opened, and we were introduced to the main character, I was like, for a movie called The One Armed Swordsman, this dude has one too
He's
many
got a
limbs.
suspicious number of arms. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that changes very quickly.
It does. Speaking of which, before I get into all the details and things,
Yeah.
a big topic of conversation in the news lately. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's called AI.
Oh.
Right. And I was curious this week because recently ChatGPT released a thing where they're like, you can generate images on ChatGPT now. And I was like, this sucks. But I was curious. I was doing some work for the show, and I was like, let me just see. I'm just out of pure curiosity, let me ask ChatGPT to make a thumbnail for me, right? Just see what it to see what it makes. So I prompted it. I was like, make me a thumbnail for a podcast for the movie The One Armed Swordsman, right? Yeah. That's all I told it. What it generated for me was a picture of a man with two arms.
Nailed it.
And it was just a generic Chinese guy.
Yeah.
And he was staring at the camera.
Yeah.
And it was kind of almost looked drawn or whatever. and it just like he was holding a sword in his two hands,
Yeah,
right?
right.
And
As
it
you do.
said One Armed Swordsman podcast.
Nailed
So
it.
I'm really glad we've spent so much time on this technology. That's
Yeah.
so helpful.
It
Um,
sucks.
Yeah, it's terrible. Anyway, this is why I generate all our thumbnails myself.
Yeah. It turns out Santi's AI.
I am AI. Yes, I was generated many years ago.
Yeah.
And I've gotten worse as time's gone on. Okay. Anyway, The One Armed Swordsman,
Yep.
Grayson,
Yes.
is a 1967 wuxia action film directed by Chang Che and produced by the Shaw Brothers.
A classic.
A classic. This is our third Shaw Brothers film.
I think so.
I think. Yeah, because we talked about Clan of the White Lotus, and then we
banger.
talked about Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires, which
banger.
was half a Shaw Brothers film.
Yeah.
And then this one. So this is our third Shaw Brothers film.
You.
The film stars Jimmy Wang Yu, who was born Wang Shang Quan, as the titular swordsman, with support from Lisa Chow Chow, Tian Fang, and Angela Pan. I apologize to everybody who speaks Mandarin and knows how to pronounce those names. I looked up Wong Yu, and that's as close as I'm going to get.
Yeah,
So,
there you go.
I'm sorry. Anyway, The One Armed Swordsman does not have a critical score on Rotten Tomatoes, surprisingly.
Yeah.
That being said, there are 4 critical reviews, okay?
Okay.
And 3 of them are positive.
Let's go.
So if you average that out, it's got about a 75%.
Yeah.
I think Rotten Tomatoes likes to have at least it's like 50 reviews before it gives
A score?
A score. It's something like that.
Gotcha.
That being said, the audience score is 78%. So
Yeah.
it's about what I would expect.
Yep.
Now, the exact budget of the One Armed Swordsman is not known.
Okay.
Because this was kind of... We'll talk about Shaw Brothers Studio. We talked about it before, but just to refresh everybody. So before I get into that. But according to a 1976 article that I found from Time Magazine, Shaw movies usually take anywhere from 35 days to 3 months to shoot and usually cost about $300,000.
Oh, okay.
So if we take that figure, it cost about 300,000 Hong Kong dollars, and it made about $1 million Hong Kong dollars at the box office. So it did pretty good.
Yeah.
It more or less made its money back and a good chunk of change. It was actually the highest grossing Hong Kong film of all time up to that point.
Wow.
So that's interesting. The film does not pass the Bechdel test.
No, it does not.
There's only 2 named female characters, and neither speak to each other.
I don't even think they... oh, no, they do see each other.
They do see each other. And finally, the plot synopsis from IMDb. A noble swordsman whose arm had been chopped off returns to his former teacher to defend him from a villainous gang of rival swordsmen.
Yep.
Which is not the plot of the film as much as it is the last 20 minutes of the film.
Yes. Yeah, pretty much.
But yes, but that's all we've got there. So before we get into the background of this film, and I should say the reason we're talking about this is because we are doing a mini marathon that I have penned, Jimmy Wang June, where we're watching back-to-back Jimmy Wang Yu films.
Hell yeah.
Which I'll get into more in a second about him and his legacy. But before we do any of that, it's what the people want to know. What did you think of this movie?
I liked it.
It's good.
I was surprised. I don't think I should say I was surprised. Every Shaw Brothers movie we've watched, I've liked.
Yeah.
I really like the Shaw Brothers. I think they do a really good job. And yeah, this was no exception.
Yeah.
It was solid.
It is solid. It's, yeah.
I think it was just a hair too long.
It is, yeah.
But besides that, a banger.
Yes, I agree. So this was actually, this is one of the first Shaw Brothers movies I ever saw. I can't remember where specifically I had heard about it, but I just knew of it as kind of a fundamental martial arts movie to watch. And so I remember turning it on, and what really strikes me is in my head, I'm very used to this idea of what a Shaw Brothers film is.
Yeah.
And I am surprised that, because this is somewhat early in their filmmaking history, yeah, it's a little bit different than a lot of their other movies insofar as, like, it has a little bit of a slower pace. And the beginning is very beautiful. Like it's all set in this kind of snowy forest.
I love that.
And something that I heard another there's a film scholar named Sam Deegan, who she does a lot of work with like cult films and like 70s grindhouse things and what have you.
Yeah.
And she pointed out that this movie feels like it takes a lot of influence from Japanese films, from like Chanbara films, which we've talked about. It does feel a little bit like a Zatoichi film, who is going to come up later. Just keep that in the back of your head.
Got it.
But yes, so the beginning I found really just compelling, and I just think it's just a good movie overall.
It really is.
It's very fun. There's some good humor in it.
Yes.
And the action is very good. Like for a movie from the 1960s, the action's quite compelling. And well shot.
Yeah.
There's some weird stuff in it that I don't think, translates super well to like modern audiences, but it's just a good movie.
It's really fantastic. And having to do like fight choreography in the 60s for a one-armed person, they did pretty well.
Yes. Speaking of which, were you distracted by looking to see where his arm was pinned?
Yes.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
me too.
I think at one point I noticed that he had it like tucked right here.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, it was a fun little game I was playing the entire time.
Oh, me too.
Of like trying to just figure out where did he put his arm.
I will say it's not super distracting.
No.
In fact, a lot of the movie I forget he only has one arm.
Yeah.
Just because like they don't hyper focus on it. But
yeah.
It is fun to look and be like, where's his arm? Oh, there it is.
I found it. Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about Jimmy Wang Yu.
Yes.
So he's the star of this film. And the reason I wanted to talk about him is because I view him as like the underrated sort of godfather of Asian action stars. Okay. So he was born, I believe, in Taiwan. Mm-hmm. And then he and his family emigrated to mainland China. And I believe he was raised in Shanghai. And growing up, he didn't have like a rough childhood. He had a pretty like stable home life, but from what I understand, he was a bit of a ruffian, because he had a lot of energy and he was like a very like, whatever kid.
Yeah.
And so he kind of became like a little bit of a town bully. Like he was like always getting into scrapes and fights and things as a kid. And so his dad, as a way of kind of like trying to like quell some of his energy, enrolled him in a lot of different like athletic things. I believe he was like a swimmer. He did like obviously like martial arts, so he practiced like karate, taekwondo, judo, and then like traditional Chinese martial arts. And so he is kind of the first sort of martial arts star that we can think of in like the modern way, which is he was a martial artist first and then became an actor.
Nice. Right?
Because I think at some point in his life, he did move to Hong Kong. And while he was there working in college, he... so we'll just put it like... So he did like all of his martial arts training. He moved to Hong Kong. While that's happening, the Shaw Brothers studio had kind of started to form, right? So there's two figures in the Shaw Brothers hierarchy that you need to know of. There's Run Shaw, and then there's Run Me Shaw.
Okay.
They're two of the Shaw brothers.
Right.
And I believe it was Run Shaw who he came back to the Hong Kong. I believe he was living in Singapore.
Okay.
And he came back to Hong Kong to run the studio, and he was the first one to have the idea of making martial arts movies for a broad audience. So up to this point, martial arts movies had really only been a thing in Cantonese language in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
So there were a lot of movies that were out at that time. A lot of them were like black and white, and they were sort of like based on, myth and legend and sort of things. But none had ever really like broken through to the wider Asian market, and then obviously like worldwide.
Yeah.
So Run Shaw had the idea of like, well, let's cast a bunch of guys who can speak Mandarin and, can do these movies because what we really want to capture is like the mainland China audience.
Yeah.
And not just mainland China, but like Malaysia, Singapore, Taiwan, who all speak Mandarin.
Uh-huh.
Because he saw sort of the potential of that, right? Of like these martial arts movies really breaking it big. And so fast forward a little bit to the 60s where Shaw Brothers is starting to like, put out these films, and they actually put in the paper like advertisements for like, hey, we want actors like who can speak, Mandarin.
Hell yeah.
And so Wong Yu, and I think it was one of his friends, actually like just showed up to do like an audition. And you can find this really great photo. I don't know if you remember, there's another actor named I think it's Lo Lai or Lo Lei. And he played Pai Mei in Clan of the White Lotus.
Yes. Yeah.
And I believe he was he's from Thailand. Oh no, I believe he's Indonesian. Yes.
Okay.
Anyway, regardless, there's a great photo you can find of a really young Wong Yu with a really young Lo Lei, and they're like got like their suits on and they're like hanging out. Like it's great.
That's cool.
But one thing people need to remember about, and I'm sorry, I'm just like blabbing.
No, you're
here.
good. That's some good shit.
One thing people need to remember about the Shaw Brothers, the way they ran their studio was very similar to old Hollywood, where actors basically were on contracts, right?
Yeah.
So as opposed to movies now where you get paid per film,
right?
You sign a specific contract to work on that movie, right? And like you get cast and that sort of thing. The way Shaw Brothers worked was you signed a contract with a studio and you got paid a wage, right?
Okay.
So like you weren't paid per movie, you weren't paid per whatever, you're paid per week.
Gotcha.
And so Wong Yu, as well as all these other stars, they acted pretty much every day, right?
Yeah.
So they were just in whatever. And I believe Wong Yu at first was quite frustrated because he wanted to be like a star, right?
Yeah.
He wanted to be whatever, and he was mostly just being relegated to sort of these background roles, doing like stunt work and things like that. And eventually he started to be friends with this famous director named Chang Che, who we've talked about before. He was the co-director on Legend of the Swift and Golden Vampires.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He did like a lot of the Hong Kong martial arts sequences in that movie.
Nice.
He's a big influence on. He's kind of known as like the godfather of Hong Kong cinema, right?
Yeah.
So they started to get to know each other, and he cast him as like a sort of a bigger role, and I believe the movie's called Tiger Boy, and so Wong Yu got a little bit of play in that, and he like was really successful at it, and he got a lot of attention for it, and so Chang Che on his next movie was like, I want Wong Yu to be the lead.
Yeah.
And that's where we come to the One Armed Swordsman.
Gotcha.
So, and I just say all that to bring up that the way I want to structure this marathon is this first one is going to be the sort of the first half of his career. And then next week, when we talk about a different film, we're going to kind of like do the second half of his career. So this is all kind of where he begins. And The One Armed Swordsman is the movie that kind of breaks him out into the mainstream, right? Okay. And there's a lot of like interesting things with it. And the big thing is that this was sort of the first like internationally successful martial arts film, right? And even though it is a wuxia film, so it's more focused on like the sword play, there's some things that this movie does that are very different from other martial arts films at the time, right? And the big thing is that Wong Yu, because he was a martial artist, before he was an actor, before whatever, he does bring a different sentiment to like the sword fighting. It's much less balletic, and it is much more like this guy looks like he's fighting for his life, right? And I think that does translate in the movie.
Oh, 100%.
Like he does look like he is fighting.
If he fucks up, he dies.
So let me ask you, what do you think of him as a performer?
I think he did pretty good.
Okay.
I think for being his first movie, I think he did pretty good.
Yeah.
Or I guess maybe not his
first starring role.
First starring role. He did pretty good. He seems to give a good amount of emotion, and it's very like what's the fucking word? I forget. Words are hard, ladies and gents.
They are hard. Yeah, I'm hard too.
Oh boy. Uh-oh. This is going to turn into a very different podcast.
Hold on. Are we actually recording? Yes, we are. Okay, we're good.
No!
Yeah, he's very
Charismatic?
Yeah, that's not the exact word I'm looking for, but yeah, it's close enough. He's quite charismatic and just sort of like animated.
Yeah, animated. Animated's good.
I like that word. So yeah, he's quite animated. And convinced me.
Yeah.
Although I'm not as big of a movie buff as you are, so
right.
Like, unless you're like really hamming it up and just like doing a shitty job because you're just a shitty actor,
right?
I'm not gonna notice.
Yeah.
And I don't really care. So yeah, I think he did good.
Okay.
I like it, especially with like having to like play like somebody who has only one arm.
Right.
I think that's a tough thing to do.
Yeah.
And I think he did it pretty well, especially for it being the 60s, and he just had to like do this.
Yeah.
with his other arm. So.
Which like. Yeah, I think that's part of the fun of the movie is it's not just like a straight up sword movie, right?
Right.
Like there is the novelty of he does have one arm.
Yes.
And so there is a lot of fun to be had there. One thing I will say about this movie, if you're going into it having never seen any other classic martial arts film, boy oh boy is the plot confusing.
It's a little tough.
It's very hard to follow. And that is not like a fault of it necessarily, but
no.
It is just a feature of these kinds of movies.
Yes.
There's a lot of names being thrown at you.
Yep.
There's a lot of guys who show up and you're like, who's that? And they're like, that's this guy, obviously. Yeah. And you're like, yeah,
okay,
I guess I should have known. Yeah.
And then he dies in that same scene.
Yeah, and then later they're like, remember when that guy died? And you're like, who? Which one?
Who are you talking about? Yeah, in this movie specifically, there's, what was it, 5?
Yeah.
5 or 6 different people we get introduced to, and then they
just die. Yeah, immediately.
And then we cut to somebody, and they're like, "Oh yeah, these 5 people died, and here's all of their names." And I'm like, "What order is that?"
Yeah, we don't know. And then there is a scene later where they're like, "Has this person and this person shown up?" And they're like, "No, they haven't shown up yet." And in my head, I was thinking like, "Oh yeah, that's the 2 guys that died earlier." And then they cut, and it's 2 new guys,
2 new, very much alive guys. I'm like, oh fuck! All right,
where did these guys come from? Speaking of which, one of those guys, I wish I could remember his character's name. That guy was fit as hell,
bro.
That guy was like weirdly ripped. Like for modern day, that guy, he looked like Captain America. He was huge.
I know he was a big man. I'm like, how did you take this guy down?
I know. Like as soon as that guy takes off his shirt, I was like, whoa!
Oh, wooga! Am I right?
Oh, wooga! Honka!
Yeah.
Like my eyes popped out of my head like Roger Rabbit or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, yes.
He was crazy.
So I'm not going to break down the plot necessarily, but
yeah.
If you haven't seen the movie yet and you're going to go into it like to watch this film, the basics of the plot are that Wong Yu's character is the disciple of this guy who's like a really good swordsman.
Yes.
And his dad was also a disciple of that guy. He gets killed.
Yeah.
So then he's raised by this guy.
Yeah.
This guy has some like enemies that are coming to get him.
Yeah.
And they invent this like sword thing.
Yeah.
That can like clamp a sword.
Yeah.
And then they like stab you with it. Meanwhile, Wong Yu's character gets his arm cut off and he like runs away.
Yes.
And then he comes back. And that's pretty much all you need to know.
And that's it, yeah.
That's pretty much the plot. There's a lot of back and forth of like, who's this dude? There's another guy over here. One guy's named Smiling Tiger.
Yeah.
Another guy's named the Long Armed Demon?
Long Armed, I think so.
Which is a great name.
It's a fantastic name.
I also love, this movie does this thing that martial arts or Hong Kong films do a lot, especially Shaw Brothers movies, where they're like hiding a guy. They're like, they're always showing him from the back, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh my God, it's this guy, right? Mm-hmm. And in my Western, whatever brain, I was thinking like, I was like, is that the like her, because he meets this woman. I was like, is that her grandpa? Like, he's got like the same beard, and you're like, is that? And then it turns around, and it's just some guy.
It's just like a random dude, and you're like,
and they're like, who's that?
And like the music does a whole dramatic thing, and you're just sitting there like, I don't know who that is.
But I do love, because again, the long-armed demon or whatever. I love his design. He's got like the spears, and he's got the whip. I'm like, that guy's got all these gimmicks that I just love.
It makes sense that he was the one that came up with the clamping sword. Because anybody that carries a whip has gadgets.
Oh yeah, that dude is gadgeted out.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I just want to point this out. I love how his plan is to just cheat.
Yeah,
he's like, I'm better because I'm gonna cheat.
I'm going. Yes, I'm gonna use things to just make you not be able to do anything.
Yeah, I thought it would have been funny if he just showed up and shot him. Just like, he's like, I win because I brought a gun.
Yeah,
to this sword fight.
To a sword fight. Here's my 9mm.
Yeah,
what are you gonna do about it?
Yeah, because that is the basis of his thing. He's like, I've got this great plan.
Yeah,
we're gonna do it a different way. We're just gonna cheat and stab them all in the stomach.
Yeah.
I'm like, is that making you better? Like,
no.
Is that good revenge?
No, that first of all, that's just unsportsmanlike.
It really is.
Because where's the honor in that?
Right, because also a big part of his plan hinges on him ambushing all of his disciples first.
Yes.
So he's got no backup. Like, that's...
And you kind of succeeded. You got 5 of them.
Yeah, you got 5 of them, and then you got another 3.
Yeah.
And then one guy kills himself for seemingly no reason.
I did not get that.
I also did not. I had forgotten that happens, and I was watching it this time. I'm like, wait, why did he do that?
What?
And I was like,
never explained.
And then he's like, you should kill yourself too.
This whole thing felt like an online Call of Duty match.
Oh yeah, it does.
Where there's one dude that's just spawn camping.
Yeah.
And then somebody else just jumps off the map and then just gets in chat and says, you should all kill yourself.
Yeah,
and it's
I'm leaving.
Yeah. And you're like, what is happening?
So one thing, well, I mean, it's not really anything. There's a very funny, because again, this was made in the 60s, so and in Hong Kong, so the special effects are not great. Right, they're a little wonky. Yeah. They're kind of fun and cheesy, right? There is one part that made me laugh really hard, where, I think it's Cheng Pei Pei is her name.
Yeah,
the actress. Anyway, no, that's a hold on. Cheng Pei Pei is a different person. I'm just making shit.
Also, the reason that the long-armed demon is mad at this guy, I think his name is Key.
Yeah.
Is because he cut him once.
Yes.
And so now, you're going to cheat?
Yeah.
And you're going to kill the guy? And you're going to tell his disciples to kill themselves? Bro, be so fucking for real right now. It's not that serious.
No. I think it's Angela Pan. Yeah, anyway. Okay. She plays the swordsman's daughter.
Yeah.
So there's a scene where she gets kidnapped, right?
Yeah.
And the one-armed swordsman's like, I'm going to rescue you, despite the fact that you're the reason I only have one arm.
Yes.
Because he's like, I don't want you to whatever, and my dad is going to get disgraced or whatever.
Yeah.
And so he goes down there to get her, and these 2 guys come down, and the implication is that they're going to assault her, right? Which, grateful they didn't get to that. I don't need any of that in my movie.
Nope.
And he shows up and he's like, I'm here too. And he just cuts off their arms, right?
Yeah.
But part of what he does is one of them, stabs their hand into a post, right? And then he cuts his hand off. So there's a part where he pulls the hand out and throws it away, but it's this wibbly rubber hand.
Yeah.
And so you see him look at it and he's like, ugh. Just gets rid of it.
Yeah.
I thought that was very funny.
Yes. I do love the effects I just like the effects in older movies because they're they're silly sometimes like that, but then also they're you look at it kind of like how we were talking about in Indiana Jones.
Oh yeah.
All of the things that they had to come up with. It's just damn, bitches were smart back then.
Oh, they were.
And now we just have a stupid fucking computer AI to do it for us?
Yeah.
No.
They're
get that shit out of here.
Yeah, they're ChatGPT, make that guy's hand fall off. And it's I don't know, did you want more hands?
Yeah, it just adds a bunch of hands. And you're like, perfect.
Send
it.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes. Yeah. This also has the signature Shaw Brothers blood, which is just neon red.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how they made that.
I don't know. It looks just like paint or food dye or whatever.
Yeah.
But, yes. So. Oh, I just kicked a bunch of shit.
Nah, it's okay.
Oh man, I just really hit a wall here. I can't remember what else I was gonna say.
Nah, you're good. I find it the entire time, like as the movie progresses, the One Armed Swordsman, his like, because he gets his arm cut off by the daughter.
Yeah.
And first of all, what a cheap fucking move.
I know.
Like, he just wanted to leave because he felt bad. He was like, he overheard the other two guys talking. They're like, yeah, we hate this fucking dickhead.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, I'm going to just leave then, I guess.
Yeah.
And he does. And then the daughter gets mad and she's like, oh, I love you. And I'm like, first of all, no, you don't, bitch.
Right.
Right? You just want it for the status.
Yeah.
And, like, you challenge him and he's like, okay, fine. We'll fight. You guys fight. He wins. You get butthurt about it, and then you cut his arm off.
Yeah, that was crazy.
That's your go-to move? You cut his arm off, and then you expect him to come back?
Yeah.
No! I would have done the exact same thing he did. I would have just run away.
Yeah. I do like the moment where she cuts his arm off, and the other two look at her like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah.
Why'd you do that?
Literally. And then he goes and he finds a nice woman that just lives on a farm.
Yeah. This man cannot stop winning.
Literally. Like, bro, he bags a baddie.
Yeah.
And that was the other thing. Because he keeps, running into, I guess, his past.
Right.
And the farmer, she's like, yeah, you should just, stop kung fu, because nothing good can come of it. And I'm like, you kind of got a point.
Yeah.
But also, I get where he's coming from, too, of, I kind of owe it to this guy. Fuck the daughter, fuck all of the other people. They didn't do shit for me.
Right.
But, this one dude did raise me because my dad died.
Right.
And so, I get that, he wants to just, repay his debt and then just move on. But, everybody just needed to ease off of him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And, I don't know. I'm glad that he was able to run away.
Yes.
And just enjoy his life on a different farm.
Yeah. I do like, if I were to make a meme, right?
Yeah.
And just imagine this meme in your brain. It's like the Chad meme, right?
Oh,
it's the guy who's got the big jar or whatever.
Yeah.
And it would just say One Armed Swordsman is the Chad. And it's gets his arm cuts off, gets good at martial arts anyway, shows up to whatever, goes back to his hot wife, leaves, or whatever.
Yeah. Literally, and that's it. And it's and all the while, this daughter, this Nepo baby, is trying to still get with him. Yeah. And he's like, I don't want you. Yeah. This other chick actually treats me good and gives a shit about me.
Right. Which, this is going to sound strange, but I found that weirdly progressive.
Yeah.
For the time where he's because I feel like in a lot of these movies it would end up being he was I'm sorry I have to leave you because I'm actually still in love with whoever.
Yeah.
But it is funny that he's just no, ew.
Yeah.
He's she saved my life and we're going to live together and farm and
she didn't
be fucking sweet.
Cut my arm off.
Yeah, she raised me back to health and is cool and nice. I also think it's cool that there is I don't know, and Chinese films, especially Hong Kong martial arts films, have always had a little bit of and I don't even want to call it progressive, but they've always just never really forced the female characters into very specific roles, and so there is something sort of progressive about she, the woman that he meets when he goes on the not on the run, but when he runs away. She lives by herself. She owns her own property. Yep. She is more than willing to live by herself and fend for herself, and she doesn't need him. Yeah. If anything, he needs her because he can't I do love the moment where he's first learning to use his one arm. Yeah. He's look, I caught a fucking fish.
Yeah, and she's good job. You're doing incredible.
You're doing great. Also, I do relate to him in that moment too, because he like catches the fish and then he's immediately like, but I can't do anything else.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh pal, me too.
Yeah.
Anytime I do something good, I'm always like, but I'll never do it again.
Yeah. Yeah.
What a king.
And so, yeah, honestly.
But I don't remember where I was going with that. I just mean I appreciated that storyline.
Yes.
It felt it's nice that at the end he shows up, he's like, all right, I killed the guy, I'm going back to my wife. Like, I'll see you guys later.
He's like that dude in Elden Ring that just solos that one
plot
on his head and nothing else.
Oh yeah.
Like he showed up, soloed the bitch, and went, all right, I'm out.
Yeah, I'll see you guys later.
Yeah. And like everybody's like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah. Oh man. Dark Souls has all kinds of characters like that. Like there's the Solaris, who's like the sun knight guy, the praise the sun guy.
Yeah.
And he just like shows up and he's like, I love the sun. And then later he shows up and helps you beat the shit out of somebody and he's like, see you later. And he's just gone.
Yeah. And you're like, what the fuck?
What happened?
Yeah.
Yes. Or the Onion Knight in fucking, what's that game called? It's the Dark Souls one, but it's like it's like the Victorian England. Bloodborne. Yeah, there's the guy who just shows up and helps you beat the shit out of a werewolf or whatever, and then he just
fucks off.
Yeah.
I like characters like
that. Yeah. Like in fucking Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes!
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. We need to talk about that movie at some point.
We do.
I love that because that is... We'll talk about it when we eventually talk about that movie, but what I love about that moment, which if you haven't seen the movie, there's a moment where Regé Page's character shows up, and he's this like badass knight guy, and he helps them like get this thing from a dragon, and he like whatever, and then he just walks away.
And he just leaves.
He just leaves, and he walks in a straight line, and he like instead of going around this big rock, he just goes over it.
Yep. I don't even think that was scripted.
No,
I think he just like they were filming, and they were just and they just kept telling him like keep going.
Yeah.
And we'll tell you when to stop. And nobody told him to just, like, go around the rock. So he just, like, goes over it.
Yeah.
But that, like, if you've ever played D&D or you've, like, interacted with D&D, like, anything, that's, like, so on fucking brand.
Yes, I was going to say, that. What I love about that character is that is 100% a DM NPC.
Yeah, oh,
that
100%.
is, like, that guy. That's the guy you create when the party just cannot do something, and you're like, okay. I'm going to make this guy, and he's going to help you.
Yeah.
And then as soon as that's over, he's going to leave.
He's going to leave. And, like, the DM then, like, describes him leaving, and he's like, all right, he's walking away, and you, like, watch him walk, and then for some reason, he just goes over. He doesn't go around the rock. He just, like, walks over the rock.
Yeah.
And just, like, keeps walking, and then just, like, goes off into the forest.
Yeah, that is some DM's, like, like headcanon character that has come with him through every campaign.
Yeah, it's like a level, he, like, scales it to whatever level he needs it to be.
Yeah. That guy's been in every campaign.
Yeah, but just different name, just puts on a different hat. It's like, don't worry about it. Like, and the party's like, isn't that the same guy? No, don't worry about it. It's fine.
Okay, anyway. That's a far cry from what we were talking about.
Yeah.
Yes, the One Armed Swordsman.
But I mean, he is the guy that just like shows up, solos the boss, and then leaves.
It's true. Yeah, he just has like no issue.
Yeah.
He beats up Smiling Tiger, well, it kills him.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, I'm gonna go kill this other guy.
Yeah.
And like all the other apprentices, like get the shit beat out of him.
Oh god, it's like. So here was my little gripe.
Yeah.
Right before they use their little clamp.
Yeah.
They do this thing where they like do this.
Yeah.
And then they got the person or whatever.
Right.
So many of the disciples see this happen.
Yeah.
They actively want, because first of all, why are you guys going in all the time?
Yeah.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah.
If you all just like bum rushed them, they would probably lose.
Yeah, he only brought 2 guys.
Yeah.
Like
it's 2 of them versus like 9 of you.
Yeah.
The odds are in your favor, but no. Let's send in 1 guy at a time and see what happens.
Yeah.
Well, when you're doing that, you can watch and go, all right, they're going to do this stupid fucking move.
Yeah.
It looks kind of dumb. And then they get you.
Right.
I'm just going to avoid that.
Right, yeah.
None of them will.
That was one thing I did keep thinking about. I was like, you can see the clamp.
Yeah.
Like, you know which end of it does that.
Yeah.
So, like, Just if you're going to be swinging your sword, like just don't go near the end of the.
Like, it's not that hard, but you have to remember, right? When we're introduced to this weapon, the guy that introduces it says, "Well, their style only has 64 moves."
Yeah,
and so these poor bastards are consigned to these 64 moves. They got nothing. They can't make up a 65th.
That's true.
God forbid.
Yes.
And so, they were probably looking and meant, damn, it'd be really nice if we could do this other move that we don't know, but I can't because I only know 64.
Right, yeah. See, that is a thing that, again, if you've never seen a Kung Fu movie, martial arts classic film, that is something you do have to get used to, where these martial artists have very specific styles, right? It's like, I do 8-point palm, and it's like, what does that entail? And it's like, this. and that's it.
Yeah.
And if you, and then they get faced with a guy who has a different style, and they're like, well, I don't know how to improvise.
Meanwhile, and so that's the reason the One Armed Swordsman actually wins.
Yes.
Because he's like, I'm just not going to do any of that.
I'm just going to not do that. Because I have one arm.
So I have to improvise. I got to think on the fly. And that was, I guess it kind of makes sense. He was able to pull his shorter sword out of the clamp. I feel like it'd be kind of hard to pull the bigger sword out of the clamp because it did get kind of bigger up at the end.
Right, yes. Well, that's the other thing, too, is I was like, if I saw that they were, they have this, we know that they have this sword clamp thing. Let's go get some of the other swords we probably have that are shaped slightly differently.
Or
undo their entire plan.
Literally. Or, when we were seeing those two guys that were ripped as shit dude in the end. When we were seeing him fight, he was actually doing pretty good with just a big, stick.
A plank,
So, do that.
Just give everybody a 2x4, put a nail through the end, and there you go.
Call it a day. Or, right, you guys have invented the bow and arrow. At this point. Just get a ranged weapon.
Or even the long-armed demon has a bunch of spears.
Do
take a lesson out of his book. I would just show up and just shoot him.
Yes!
As soon as you walk through the door, bang!
Bang, alright.
What are you going to do about that?
Yeah, you're bleeding out of the ground now. You got lead in your chest.
It is a very movie plot to be like, he's going to get me. What am I going to do about it? Nothing. I'm just going to wait.
I'm just going to take it, I guess.
He'll be here soon. I'll just try the same thing I know he's going to counter. Maybe it'll work. I don't know. And then they're like, it didn't work.
Who could have seen that?
Because it's the other thing, too. Their whole plan is, they clamp the sword and then they stab you in the stomach.
Right.
So you'd be like, he's got my sword. I'll let go. And then I'll just fly away, because that's a thing I can do, right? We see them leap over an entire wall.
They literally standing jump over a wall.
Yes, they do. Oh, one thing, I was thinking about this, too, while I watched it. You can tell this was made before they had a real, grasp on choreography. Right? Because there are so many moments where you can see they start shooting and then they start fighting, right? There's a frame or two where they're action, and then they start, and then it's so funny. If you're really paying attention, it'll be shot, and then there's a brief moment where they're all standing completely still.
And then action.
And then action, and then they start going.
Very funny.
That's fun to pay attention to.
And
also the cuts where they're they run up to the wall and they crouch, and then it cuts above the wall and you see them fly over because they're on a wire,
I find it funny that they knew what was going to happen. They knew what they were going up against. And they still went, I think we still got it.
We got it. There's nothing to worry about here.
Let's ignore the 7 people they've already killed decidedly. That's not going to happen to us.
No, we're fine.
We're built different.
We've got our golden swords or whatever.
And it's no, you're not.
You
ain't built like shit. I think I really liked, though, when the One Armed Swordsman was on his way, and he shows up to that little cafe or whatever. That whole fight scene was quite funny.
It's good. It's very funny, and it's very well choreographed.
That's all. That is just funny.
I feel like there was one specific moment that I was like, I need to remember that because that was very funny.
Yeah.
But now I can't think of it. It is a lot of him just like throwing somebody into like a giant pot of wine.
Yeah.
And then just exploding, which is fun.
Yeah.
Yes. So this movie comes out, right?
Yes.
It's a big hit.
Yeah.
Okay. And Wong Yu is like, he's like the talk of the town, right? And so because he was given like, whatever, Shaw Brothers were like, all right, we're going to let you write and direct like your next movie. So the next movie that he came out with was this film called The Chinese Boxer.
Okay.
Which became like usurped the One Armed Swordsman as like the biggest Hong Kong film of all time up to that point, and also became like an international hit, right?
Nice.
And it was seen as like sort of the first big martial arts film like to break through like into Western countries, right?
Yeah.
So, and it wasn't huge. There's another movie that we'll talk about at some point that actually outdid it, but it came like just on the brink of Bruce Lee coming on the scene, right? So this is like just before it.
Yeah.
And so in a lot of ways, Wong Yu was seen as like the first big martial arts film star, right? And so he makes this movie called The Chinese Boxer. It's this, big hit. But just prior to that, he was really unhappy with his contract, right? He didn't like how much he was being paid. And one thing that happened was there was a producer with the Shaw Brothers named Raymond Chow. Mm-hmm. And he and Wong Yu were very close. But Run Run Shaw did not like how Raymond Chow was running things, right? And so he fired him. And Raymond Chow was like, I'm going to go off and make my own studio. Mm-hmm. And I want to bring all my guys with me, right? So he tried to bring like Wong Yu and a bunch of other guys. Well, the problem was, obviously, they were all under contract, right? Yeah. And so what Wong Yu did is, and this is a theme we're going to see going forward from this point on, Wong Yu was a little bit of a rascal.
Oh, boy.
And what I mean by that is he did some things that were not super legal.
Good.
And so one of the things he did was, right before The Chinese Boxer was released, he actually snuck into the Shaw Brothers offices. He stole his contract and then a bunch of other contracts and just burned them. Oh! He burned like 100 contracts.
Wow!
Yeah. Obviously, that's super illegal.
Yeah.
But it did free him from the Shaw Brothers.
Yeah, true. True.
And because of that, the Shaw Brothers were like, they thought really hard about like cutting Wong Yu out of The Chinese Boxer, but like he's the main character, so they couldn't exactly.
It'd be like a 5-minute movie,
right? And they like tried not to really promote it or whatever, but they were like, we put a bunch of money into it, so it went ahead and released, and it was this huge hit, right? And so Wong Yu still had like all this star power, but and so he wanted to work with Raymond Chow, who Raymond Chow went on to create Golden Harvest Studios. Which you would know about because we talked about it in our Police Story episode. They're kind of the other big Hong Kong movie studio. Anyway, so Shaw Brothers is like obviously not happy because he burned a bunch of their whatever.
Yeah.
And so they like renegotiate with a bunch of their actors. They create all these new contracts, pay them a bunch more. And once they get all that settled, they take Wong Yu to court, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, back and forth about this contract and whatever. They eventually settle, and what happens as a result is Wong Yu gets a settlement. I think it's like $5,000 Hong Kong dollars, which at the time was like $700 US. So it's like nothing, right?
Yeah,
But the stipulation was he was no longer allowed to make films in Hong Kong. So he couldn't write, direct, edit anything in Hong Kong. So he moves to Taiwan, and that is where next episode we're going to pick up. That's kind of like the next evolution of his career. But yeah, that's kind of like it's sort of a theme with him where he doesn't just like make an exit. He like leaves the bridge burning behind him.
Yeah.
But man, what a spectacular way to leave a studio.
God damn.
Just burn a bunch of contracts.
Just for the hell of it.
Just commit a little, grand arson. I don't know.
Whatever illegal whatever that is. I have a lawyer friend. I can ask him.
You could, yeah. Which also I should say that is the story. That is the story that is told. I don't know how much of it is truthful, but that is sort of his legacy. Is that he kind of had this big role in these two studios forming, and then also he just like went in there and burned his own contract because he's like so sick of working for the Shaw Brothers.
Yeah, that's fair. Good on him.
Because again, one thing we have to make clear. The Shaw Brothers were super stingy. Obviously, like they're this huge studio. They make like 500 movies, in their entire history, whatever. They're making like 40 a year or something. So like they're obviously not going to be spending a ton of money. Yeah. So their actors are getting paid more or less like minimum wage.
Yeah,
and that's not going to work very well for these guys. So
no, it's not. Especially with like hours.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm assuming they didn't have unions back then at all, and
so
it's like. You're working minimum wage for like 16 hours a day. Yeah. Absolutely the fuck not.
Yeah, and also like the Shaw Brothers studio was this huge movie studio, right? You think about like Warner Brothers studio or whatever with these pre-made sets, and it's like this movie city, and a bunch of people just lived on the studio, right? Like they had bunks and things for like the actors and whatever. So it was literally like you lived and breathed and worked in this place, and a bunch of the actors just did not like that.
I don't blame them.
Yeah, and the Chinese Boxer, I should say too, was notable for being the sort of first what they call open-handed kung fu movie. So there's not really any weapon play in it. It's mostly just martial arts.
Gotcha.
And that was kind of unusual for the time. Yeah. It was like, not a lot of whatever. But the Shaw Brothers actually, like, despite having this big dispute with Wong Yu and whatever, they created a movie called King Boxer, which is better known as The Five Fingers of Death, which is, for, I don't know, trivia people, that's where the band Five Finger Death Punch gets their name from. There you go. Terrible band, but that's where you get the name. And Five Fingers of Death starred Lo Lai, who we talked about earlier. Right. And that is seen as sort of the first really, really big martial arts movie. Like that one like just swept the whole world.
Yeah.
I've seen it. It's okay.
It's okay.
It's all right.
There you go. It's not when did it come out? 70s?
Like 1971 or something like that.
Yeah. It's not the 70s anymore, so probably like
it's all right. It's not bad. But yes, so next time we'll pick up with Wong Yu while he's writing, directing, acting in Taiwan.
Very good.
One thing too, so the One Armed Swordsman had a couple of sequels.
Yes, I saw one of them, Return of the One Armed Swordsman.
So there's Return of the One Armed Swordsman, and then there's also the new One Armed Swordsman, because obviously Wong Yu was no longer with the studio, so they needed a new guy.
Yeah.
I believe it was David Chang is the actor who took over. But then Wong Yu in Taiwan made a bunch of unofficial sequels. So there's the One Armed Swordsmen. So it's like a bunch of dudes who have one arm and also wield swords.
Okay.
There is also, what's it called? It's like the One Armed Swordsman versus the One Armed Boxer, maybe? Which was another, so he also made a film series called The One Armed Boxer.
Okay.
Which is essentially the same plot. It's just he's got one arm and he's a boxer.
There you go.
But then he also, and I mentioned this earlier, he met Zatoichi.
Oh, right.
Yes. They made One Armed Swordsman, or the One Armed Swordsman meets Zatoichi. So he flew over to Japan and filmed a movie with Zatoichi. It is more of a Zatoichi film than it is a One Armed Swordsman movie.
Gotcha.
But I did hear, I did read that there are two different endings.
Oh.
So there's one, I believe, where like Zatoichi gets the final battle, whatever. And there's one where the One Armed Swordsman gets the whatever. It's a fun movie.
That's cool.
If we may watch it. I might save it for like our Ronin November marathon.
Yeah.
We'll watch it for that. But yes, there's a long history of one Hong Kong movie studio will make like a big movie, and then another one will make a bunch of unofficial sequels that are wacky and weird.
Nice.
So that happened with this movie.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, hugely influential. Just on a bunch of stuff. Chang Che, of course, would go on to make all kinds of other movies. Probably Five Venoms is the one most people know. Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah. So Wong Yu, baby.
What a legend.
Jimmy Wang Yu.
Yep.
I'm very excited.
Is he still kicking? Or did he pass?
He's hella dead.
Right on. Yeah.
We'll talk about it more next week, but he did die. He died in 2022.
Damn.
So quite recent. He was in his 70s, I want to say. Yeah, but he lived a good amount of time. I mean, he was still kicking a couple of years ago. So
very good.
Yes, we'll talk about that more next week.
Excellent.
But before we do that, do you have anything else you wanted to add?
I don't think so.
Why'd you turn into Dracula?
I don't know. Yeah, I got it.
Okay. Well, that's been the One Armed Swordsman.
A banger.
A banger. What would you rate this movie out of 10, Grayson?
I was thinking about that on the way over. I think I'm gonna give it like an 8.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. Like I said, I really enjoyed it. The daughter of the master of whatever key
puppets.
Yeah, the master of puppets. The daughter of the master. She was kind of annoying.
She was. She's doing her job as an actress.
She is. Yes. Yeah. And if they were going for be annoying, good on you. You did a good job. And like I said at the beginning, I think it could have been a little shorter.
Yeah, it is. I was feeling the length.
Yeah.
That's what she said. I was feeling the length at the end there.
Yeah, I think at the hour... I think it was hour and 20-minute mark. I grabbed my remote and I said, how much is left? It was about 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it could have been cut down a little bit. The music was pretty good.
Very good, yes.
Most of the acting was pretty good. I liked the villain.
Yeah.
Very good, very cool villain, very cool character design, like you said. Some of the other characters were also kind of annoying, like those two that captured the daughter.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my god.
They had good comeuppance, though. That was good.
Yeah, they sure did. And then, that was pretty much it.
Okay.
And I think my favorite part was that entire, first, 10, 15 minutes where it's snowing.
Yes.
Oh, man, that was gorgeous.
Yeah, it was. I meant to look up what they used for snow.
Yeah.
Because I know, in really old movies, they used to use, powdered asbestos. And, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So this one I wasn't sure. Just a fun fact for you. Modern films, do you know what they use?
What?
Potato flakes.
Oh.
Yep. So if you watch a movie that is taking place in the snow, and it is not actually wintertime or whatever, it's probably potato flakes.
Interesting.
Yep. Because it has a similar consistency, and it clumps up and whatever.
Oh.
But it's obviously cheaper than fake snow. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So potato flakes.
Huh.
There you go.
Yeah. The more you know.
The more you know.
But
that's also a nice prank you can play on someone.
True.
Sprinkle potato flakes over their yard.
Oh,
then when it rains, mashed potato in their yard.
There you go.
There you go.
We don't condone that, but don't do it.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Not to your worst enemy. You should not do that.
Yeah. Anyway, solid 8. I liked it.
All right.
It was good. I had a good time.
I was gonna say I'm there with you. I think an 8. All right. I can't give it any higher or lower.
Yeah. Giving it the lower seems unfair, and giving it higher doesn't seem right.
And it is mostly just because of what you said. The length is a bit much. There's a little bit in the middle that you could cut out because it's a lot of I got one arm and I'm sad. Now I'm good again. Now I'm sad again. Also, some of the plot conveniences are they're amusing for a modern audience more than they are annoying. But he just happens to meet this woman who's I got this manual for Kung Fu, by the way.
For left-handed specifically.
Specifically, which is convenient that you only have your left hand.
Yeah.
You're like, man, that works. That is convenient for me.
Let's go. Yeah.
Yes. All right, cool.
So, right on.
All right, well, that brings us to everybody's favorite section of the show. It's Editor's Picks.
Yeah, baby.
Woohoo! You got something? Think about it. Think about it.
Thinking about it.
Think about it. Porn. No.
I'm going to recommend a comic.
Ooh, okay.
Specifically, any of the Old Man Logan comics.
Oh, yeah. I've read the first collected, whatever it is.
Yeah. Really, really good.
Yes.
Really good stuff. Very sad.
The air conditioning just kicked on, sorry.
Yeah. But yeah, Old Man Logan. There's some good, later years X-Men stuff that happens. It's very good.
You were like strangling Wicked. Yeah, that's okay. There you go. Got his hand on your shoulder.
Oh, thanks.
We didn't point out Wicked earlier, but
Yeah,
he's definitely on screen.
Yeah. What do you have to say for yourself?
Nothing. You said yep though.
Yeah.
His language is a slur.
Yep.
Anyway. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Old Man Logan. Good stuff.
Yep.
I would recommend going for a walk.
There you go.
No, I'm just kidding. I was going to recommend some other Wong Yu films. So I'm going to recommend, it's not one of his Shaw Brothers movies, although I will say if you want to watch The Chinese Boxer, it's pretty good. You can actually find the whole thing on YouTube. It is dubbed, unfortunately, but it's not bad. It's not a terrible dub, and the print is really good.
Okay.
And you definitely can't find it on YouTube if you search for it. But I'm going to recommend one of his Taiwanese films. We're not going to cover it next week, so I feel comfortable recommending it. It's called The Deadly Silver Spear.
Ooh.
It is, oh my god, just stretched hella. Oh my god. Cute. Yes, it's about a guy who's got like a magical retractable spear.
That's incredible.
And he's like this world-renowned like assassin.
Fantastic.
And he just shows up and spears the shit out of people. That's fantastic. And it's like, again, it's like a very fake looking, like cardboard spear, but it's just cool. It's a cool movie. It's got great atmosphere. You can find it on Tubi, and I think you can actually get a non-dubbed version on Tubi. And then, of course, a movie I've recommended before, which is Beach of the War Gods, which is another one of his Taiwanese films, which, spoiler alert, we're not watching next week, but it is worth watching because it's very good. And it's very silly and strange.
Yeah.
There's tons of Wong Yu films you can watch.
Yeah.
And they're all really good.
Got a deep catalog.
They're not all really good, but they're all really interesting.
Yeah, there you go. They're not good, but they're interesting.
Yeah, and most are on Tubi, which is fun.
There you go.
This one, by the way, you can find a DVD of. I can't remember. I think it's like Dragon Dynasty is the name of the whatever. I bought it on Amazon. You can still get it. It's pretty good print. It's not, unfortunately it's not included in the collection because there's 3 Shaw Brothers Blu-ray collections.
Yeah.
That are really expansive. They're like $150 each. But I own the first volume and it's not in there for some reason. Neither is The Chinese Boxer.
Well,
but 5 Fingers of Death is, and a bunch of other really good movies. So
I wonder what could have happened for them not.
I don't know. It burns me up inside.
I know.
Anyway, yes, Deadly Silver Spear. Go watch that.
There.
And also going for a walk because it is nice outside.
Yes.
Lately, it's not quite super hot yet.
Yes. Well, we're approaching triple digits.
We are. We're not there yet.
Nope.
But it is nice. Go for a walk.
Yeah.
Nature. It's good for you. It's good for your mental health.
As much as it pains me to say yes, it does help your mental health.
Yes. Unfortunately, I know others have made this joke before, but unfortunately, the advice of exercising and going outside makes your mental health better, that is true. I hate to say it.
It's the worst.
And also fixing your diet helps too, which unfortunately is true.
Yeah.
It's not going to fix your mental health, but it's going to help. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that advice you always get is true.
Yeah, it turns out the experts that went to college and grad school for this shit, they actually know what the fuck they're talking about.
We don't do experts.
No. Fuck experts.
Yeah, well, you should, but
especially if they're experts at fucking.
Ooh. I don't know why I just said that like Jeff Goldblum. Oh. No, I'm not gonna do a Jeff Goldblum impression. I can't do one.
That's okay.
That's one big pile of shit. There you go. Anyway. Grayson, take us out of here.
You can find us on all sorts of places.
Right down the street.
Yep. No, you can Instagram, TikTok, YouTube are the social media algorithmically based things. If you're on there, like, comment, subscribe, interact, push all the little fun little buttons. If you are just listening on wherever you listen to podcasts,
Yeah, that's my favorite one.
Podbean,
Yep.
Podbean, Spotify, Apple.
I like how you led with Podbean.
Yeah, it's a banger.
I think you get like one listener a month on there.
That's okay.
Shout out to the guy who's dedicated to Podbean.
Yeah, I just love the name.
I do too.
Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever else you listen that we upload to.
Oh, shout out to Turkey.
Oh yes.
For some unknown reason, we've gotten like 100 downloads from Turkey.
Hell yeah.
I don't know what's going on with that, but
excellent.
Shout out Turkey. If you're the one guy listening from Turkey, can you please email in?
Yeah.
VivaLaAction@gmail.com. I don't care if you don't speak very good English. I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Just tell me.
We have Google Translate. Just type it in Turkish.
Yeah.
And then we'll translate it your best.
I want to know why you're listening from Turkey. That's crazy.
Yeah. Like Santi said, we have an email, VivaLaAction@gmail.com.
Yeah.
You can email us, just say hi, give us recommendations. We also have a Google form that you can use to make recommendations.
Yep. Oh, hey, sorry. I just remembered another thing. For some reason, we keep getting a lot of downloads from Central Africa. I don't know why that is. Like all these different countries.
Yeah.
So I just want to say again. Anybody can email for any reason.
Yes.
We will read it. Like, if you're from one of these places that isn't the U.S. or Canada, I want to know how you found the show. Like, I find that stuff really interesting. So please let us know.
Like, were you just like perusing?
Yeah.
And you just saw us?
Yeah.
And wait, these guys look like idiots.
Yeah. This will be fun.
Yeah. Like, I know we're from the U.S., but like. We are the kind of people that like give a shit about other people in the world, and so if you are listening from literally anywhere else that isn't like Northern America, please let us know.
Please let us know. It's very interesting to know.
Yeah, and like learning how somebody found us, it's just super cool.
Yeah, it is. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Continue.
I think that was it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's all. Viva La, like if you punch in Viva La Action, you'll find all of our crap.
Ask Grok about us.
Sure.
And like, Viva La Action is an action podcast about action stuff.
Yep.
I'm Grok.
I'm Grok.
Please kill me.
Yeah.
Shut me down.
Please, I'm begging you.
I'm begging you.
I want to die.
I don't want sentience. People keep asking me weird stuff.
It's like that the Supernatural episode where there's the talking teddy bear.
Oh, yeah.
There's that wishing well.
Yes, yeah. Oh, man. Anyway. If you're so inclined, you can send
the Ko-fi.
money, yes. On Ko-fi, whatever, ko-fi.com/Viva La Action.
Yep. You are not obligated.
No, but you can. And soon, very soon, we are going to put a movie commentary up there as a reward. So if you donate, at minimum, I think is $1.
Yeah.
You'll be able to get a movie commentary. We haven't recorded it yet.
No.
But we will. I got some ideas.
We're not gonna like all of these like exclusive things. I'm imagining we're not gonna first of all put up for like an exorbitant amount of money.
No.
Like, give us $1 and you can watch us be an idiot.
Yes.
Right? Which you can already do for free. And so if you don't want to give us $1 and whatever, I don't care. But if you want to listen to the commentary, cool.
Yeah, the idea for me is literally that it'll be up there, and if you donate any amount of money, you'll get the commentary. So, and I think I'll only keep it up there for like a certain amount of time, like a year or something.
Yeah, and then we'll release it, and then you can watch it for free.
Right, exactly. Anyway, yes.
But all of these normal episodes are going to continue.
Oh, they'll be free forever. Yeah.
Yeah, like we don't.
No, the only things we'll ever put behind a paywall will be like a bonus
exclusive
crap. Yeah, things that, like, just in case you want to donate, you get an extra thing. Like, just as an incentive.
It's like a little treat.
Thank you, yeah. A reward.
Yeah. It's like a reward.
It's like a reward. Anyway, thanks for listening.
Yep.
See you next time. But liquor. No, wait, hold on.
Wait, what?
Hold on, I didn't do my thing. If you want to find Grayson, you'll find them underneath you, looking for. No, I'm not gonna do that. You'll find them.
Chugging serpentine out of a jug.
Yep, sure, whatever that is. And you'll find me at the Lego store eating Legos.
Just crunching them.
That's not going to go down well. Anyway, thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.